How to rewire your brain to get rid of anxiety. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. Let me tell you how. In this video, we are going to cover three main topics. Number one, what is happening in your brain to create anxiety in the first place and to perpetuate anxiety so that you continue to feel anxious. Number two, how you can rewire your brain so that you can get rid of anxiety for good. And number three is what you must do to make that happen. And then make sure you stay with me to the end because I'm going to give you your bonus brain tip that you can go use right away so that you can control your brain. Okay, first let's talk about how does your brain get wired to create anxiety in the first place? Well, some people are born with a propensity for an anxious brain. So what that means is there's a familial predisposition. And what that means is that brains don't fall far from the tree. So if your parent has anxiety, one or both of your parents struggles with anxiety, then you may also have anxiety too. So our brains are wired like our parents' brains. But secondly is the environment. So it's nature and nurture. It's basically always nature and nurture. The nurture part is if you feel anxious and you go into the world and you use the anxiety brain pattern, you are hardwiring that pattern into your brain every time you use it. So let me tell you what the brain pattern that causes anxiety looks like. There's 5 main speeds that we use in our brain to be able to shift in and out of the states that we need to and we want to get in each day. The first speed is extra slow speed. That's what keeps you asleep. Slow speed is the speed that shifts you into sleep. Medium speed is couch mode. That is the speed that when you're hanging out on the couch and you're relaxing, your brain is able to get into to feel calm. Fast speed is the perfect speed for processing information. So that's the speed that your brain has to use when you go to school or you go to work so you can become focused, not be distracted, and be productive. The 5th speed is the very fastest and the highest speed that your brain uses. It is the speed that has to kick it into place if something stressful happens in your life. So if a lion was chasing you right now, your brain would have to kick it into overdrive, extra fast speed, so that you could get away from the lion and be safe. But in that analogy, once the lion was gone, your brain would come back down and it would go into perfectly fast and medium speed for calm focus again. What happens in today's day and age is that so many people are going into mini fight or flight, mini kick it into overdrive all day long that their brain gets stuck in this extra fast high mode and really never gets the opportunity to come back out of it to be able to calm down and to feel focused and relaxed. That is the brain pattern that causes anxiety. It is a brain that is stuck in extra fast mode. And we can see that on a QEEG brain map. And what it looks like is very high levels of high beta extra fast speed. So that is what's causing anxiety and perpetuating it because unfortunately that brain pattern loves to be used and it will basically force the person to keep using it and the person will feel more anxious than ever. That's your proverbial downward spiral, which is called a negative feedback loop. You use the anxiety brain pattern, it gets you negative feelings and behaviors, which then gets you negative consequences, which hardwires in that anxiety brain pattern. That does not feel good at all. If these videos are helping you to control your brain, hit like and subscribe. It can only help us both. So, how does brain rewiring work? First of all, there's a very complex scientific law at the root of rewiring your brain. It's called Hebb's Law. What Hebb's Law states is that Neurons that fire together wire together. So every time you use a brain pattern, it is hardwiring itself in. So basically what's happening is when you continue to use the same brain pattern, it's creating neural pathways in your brain. And you can think of neural pathways as roads or streets or paths. So if you wanted to get from your backyard to the backyard of your neighbor and you always took the same path, you would be beating down the weeds and trenching a path from that place to the next. That's what's happening in your brain. Every time you use the anxiety pattern, you're trampling over the weeds and you're creating this divot that is hardwiring in that anxiety pattern because your brain cells are firing together in a similar manner using all that extra fast high speed that will give you the feelings of anxiousness, hypervigilance. You might feel stressed out. You might feel like the world's out to get you. It's because you're using the same path. So the key to success is to take Hebb's Law and use it to create a new path of calm focus where you feel relaxed and you don't feel anxious. So how do we do that? There's a way that we do that that's called anti-Hebbian homostatic learning. That's a mouthful. Say that 3 times. But the way that anti-Hebbian learning works is that, first of all, if you stop using the brain pattern that creates anxiety, your anxiety will go down. And basically, that's unwiring of the brain pattern. So we need a certain amount of unwiring to happen so the weeds can grow over that first path to your neighbor's house that you've been using all the time. And what you're also going to do is you're going to start taking a new path. But what you're going to have to do is trample down the grass and trample the weeds and make a path over here now to get from your backyard to your neighbor's. So what that looks like is taking Hebb's Law and using it for calm focus. So you're going to use anti-Hebbian law to grow the weeds over the original path by not feeling anxious. And then you're going to do things that help you feel calm and focused to start creating the new neural pathways. So basically that's unwiring and rewiring that's happening simultaneously, and that can be very, very powerful to get rid of anxiety. So I've struggled with anxiety before. If you've read my blog post at drtrishleigh.com, you probably have read some of the specific examples of things that have given me anxiety. But I have little neuroscientific tips that I use to psych myself out of those anxious feelings. And no, it's not a gallon of Chardonnay, thankfully, but I will act more confident than I feel and have my shoulders back and my head held high. And sometimes I like to get myself t-shirts with sayings. And one of my favorite ones is that it says, "Sorry I'm late, but I was having an anxiety attack." So I will just tell people, "How are you?" "Well, I'm feeling a little anxious right now." And people look at me like, "What?" Because nobody's expecting the truth. What do you have to do to rewire your brain? It's simple. Simple, but maybe not easy. The simplicity lies in we can approach getting rid of anxiety by rewiring your brain in 2 ways. Number 1, a top-down approach. So that's brain training. That's neurofeedback. What neurofeedback can do for you is unwire that anxious brain pattern and rewire the calm focused brain pattern without you doing anything. And the way that it works is it teaches your brain to make more calm focused speed in the middle and to make less of this extra fast speed out in the extreme. And when the brain training works, it literally shifts your brain out of that anxiety mode and creating more calm focus for you. But it's twofold. So number 2 is you have to use your mind and your body for a bottom-up approach to rewiring your brain also, because we know that anxiety many times can be partially nature and a lot more nurture, meaning that the constant use of the anxiety pattern is really what's wiring it in there big time. So, using behavioral techniques to use your mind and your body to calm yourself down can really go a long way in terms of rewiring in that new calm focused brain pattern. So we want to be able to have a two-pronged approach. Top down using brain training, bottom up using behavioral techniques. So what do I mean by that? You have to change your behaviors. You have to force yourself to be able to do some of the things that right now you're not able to do well, or you're not able to do without feeling anxious, so that you're using your body and your mind to bring your brain online. But the caveat to that is that it becomes so much easier when you are using neurofeedback for brain training, because your brain is moving into a calmer mode. Then that enables you to be able to use some of these behavioral techniques so that you can use your mind and your body to rewire your brain also, so that you are working on it from both sides of the street, from your brain down and from your body and your mind up. Okay, it's time for your bonus brain tip. This one's awesome. This one comes straight from Beyonce's book. Now, Beyonce, in her first album called I Am Sasha Fierce, she talks about, not in the album, but when she talks about creating that album, Sasha Fierce is her alter ego. And she used to have to change out of Beyonce mode and move into the persona of Sasha Fierce to be able to get herself on that stage and perform, because performing in front of a live audience was so anxiety provoking for her that she created this tactic. And it's actually a very smart tactic. It's one of those fake it till you make it. And I know you might not like that approach, but when you fake it till you make it, you're rewiring your brain for that calm, focused mode by lending from another persona that gives you more confidence. And I do this in the most anxiety provoking instances in my life, which I basically have to engage in one time a week. I go into an alter ego that fits into that scenario, because it's not a place that I feel real comfortable. So when I'm there, I am channeling my alter ego that fits in, and it allows me to be able to fit in better. So get your Sasha Fierce on, give yourself a completely different persona, give it a name, and go challenge yourself in that persona to be able to do the things that right now are difficult for you. And remember, if you add brain training to it, that's going to make it so it's easier for you to use those tactics. So if you're ready to rewire your brain from the top down using brain training and from the bottom up using neuro coaching, then my program might be perfect for you. What I do is I get you brain training at home using the highest technology, state-of-the-art tech that is so easy to use, that has an app that you can use on your phone or your tablet. And I have an online platform, so I am able to see exactly how your brain is performing and exactly how it's getting better through my computer in real time. It's awesome. Then we meet once a week, typically, and I give you coaching tips specific for your life so that you can use your mind and your body to start to rewire your brain from that second side of the street. And that is the way that you can bring your brain online as fast as possible so you can start feeling and performing better. Get over the anxiety that is keeping you from reaching your full potential and enjoying your life. So remember, control your brain or it'll control you.